In this lesson, we're going to be looking at how to answer the IELTS Part 1 questions based on family and friends. It is an extremely common topic to come up in Part 1 of the IELTS speaking task. We'll be going through some common questions and some sample answers, and I'll also be giving you some vocabulary. It's very important not to memorize these answers, but it's just to give you an awareness of what kind of questions they may ask in the IELTS speaking task Part 1 if you get the topic of family and friends. Let's go. As I've told you in previous videos, in the IELTS speaking test Part 1, you'll get 3 sets of questions of about 4 questions each. The first question will be about your hometown, your work or your study, or maybe your home, and you can find all those videos here. The second set and the third set of 4 questions are much less predictable, but one of the more common ones are about family and friends, where the examiner will ask you 4 questions about your family and friends. Let's have a look at some of these questions now. Number 1, do you spend much time with your family? Now, if you do spend time with your family, you can just start off with saying, I spend a lot of time with my family. But as you know, you need to extend these answers to 20 to 30 seconds, 2 or 3 sentences. So you can say, I spend a lot of time with my family, mostly in the evenings or after work. My mother cooks dinner every day and we sit down as a family to eat. Or you could even say, I see my immediate family a lot, but some of my family lives a long way away, so I don't see them as much as I would like. Keyword here is immediate family. Immediate family just means your very close family, so your kids and your parents and maybe your siblings. It's a really good word to use in the IELTS. It's easy to remember and it's a nice way to sum up the close part of your family. So when you say immediate family, it means your mum, your dad, your son, your daughter, your brother, your sister. This is your immediate family. Really good word to use in IELTS, immediate family. However, if you don't spend much time with your family, you could say something like, I don't spend a lot of time with my family. I work long hours, so I do not get to see them very often. It is a shame. You could say, my family lives overseas, so I only get to see them on special occasions, such as Christmas. Overseas means that they live in a different country to you. Say, I don't spend a lot of time with my family because I don't really get on well with them because we argue a lot. So maybe you're not close to your family. You can say you don't spend a lot of time with them because you argue a lot or because they live overseas. It's always good to add these extra details when talking in the IELTS speaking test Part 1. Do you have a large family or a small family? This is a very common question. It's usually at the start of the family and friends topic. If you do have a large family, you can say things like, we all live together in a big house, my grandparents live with us, and so does my aunt and my cousins. You could say, I am a middle child and I have 5 siblings. My 2 older siblings still live with us. Siblings are your brothers and your sisters. It's a cool word to use in the IELTS. Another good piece of vocabulary here is middle child, which means you are in the middle in terms of age. If you are the eldest, you could say, I am the firstborn or the eldest child. And if you are the youngest, you can say, I am the youngest child. If you have a small family, you can say, my family is small. My immediate family is just me, my spouse, and just 1 daughter. A spouse is your husband or your wife. And again, immediate family is just your small, close family. Remember that word, immediate family. Also, spouse. You could say, my family is small. I am an only child and I live with my mother and father. Only child means you do not have any siblings or you do not have any brothers or sisters. You could even say, I am a single mother with 2 kids. My parents have sadly passed away. Passed away means died or moved on or gone to heaven or hell, depending on if they're a good person or not. But these are just some examples of how to start answering questions and adding details when you're asked about your family. Sometimes you might get asked about your friend and they will say, who is your best friend? And you can say, my best friend is Jeff. Or any name. Don't say Jeff if it isn't Jeff. Then you need to add details. So I've known him or her since we were 4 years old. We see each other often and spend nearly all of our free time together. My best friend is Jeff. Even our parents are friends with each other. We do everything together. These are all getting up to a band 7 in your speaking task Part 1. Another way you can do this is say, my best friend is Rita. He or she is a special person to me. They are so kind, caring, compassionate, happy, full of joy, loyal. Don't use all of these, but take a couple of adjectives that would describe your friend Obviously, they have to be positive ones if they are friend, and tell the examiner about them. So when the examiner asks, who is your best friend? You can give a name, and then you can say why he or she are your best friend. You could also say, my best friend is Jeff. He is a very special person, but I haven't seen him for a long time, so I'm looking forward to connecting with him soon. This is one for if you haven't seen your best friend in a while. If you don't have a best friend, which is a shame, I'm sorry, I'll be your friend. If you don't have a best friend, you can say things like, I have many friends, but I can't choose the best one because I like all of them equally. Or you could say, I don't have a best friend. I have just moved to the area, so I haven't had a chance to meet anyone yet. Finally, you can say, I don't have a best friend. I'm quite lonely now, but I'm joining clubs and I start a new job soon, and I hope to find friends there. So even if you don't have a best friend, it's always good to give details on why, and here are some sample answers to help you. Another way you can say you don't have a best friend is you can say, I don't have a best friend, but I'm searching for one. I want a best friend that is kind, loyal, caring, and has the same interests as me. So here we flipped it. If you don't have a best friend, you could talk about what you would like to have in a best friend. Or you could say, I don't have a best friend because I'm very picky with the people I let close to me. Which means that you're a bit closed, maybe you're an introvert, you don't like hanging out with people too much, maybe you have been hurt in the past. All of these are things you can say to the examiner. And say it with a smile, let him know you're joking, add a little bit of emotion to your voice, and it will help with your fluency and your pronunciation. Have a practice in the comments. Who is your best friend? Describe them here in the comments and try to do it as a part 1 IELTS answer, maybe of 3 sentences. Go on, have a go now. Go on. Another common question is family important in your country? Now, most countries' families are important, so you can say, yes, my country is very family oriented. It is important in my culture to look after the people in your family. I try to speak to my family often and I care for them as much as I can. Or you can say, yes, my country is very family oriented. It is very traditional to honour the family, especially the elder generations. Some good vocabulary there. Family oriented means family centred or towards the family, which means a lot of the culture is aimed towards the family. Generations is people older than you in your family. Generations is a good way to talk about your older ancestors or your older relatives. Not your mum. If you come from a culture or a country where family isn't important, I can't really think of one, but you could say, not really, it should be, but in my country, family is not as valued as in other parts of the world. I wish that that wasn't the case, as my family is very important to me. Or you can say, not really, friends are seen as more important because friends are like the family you choose. Another common one is asking about how long you've known your friends or how you met your friends. So they can say, the examiner might ask you, are most of your friends from your childhood? And if they are, you can say, yes, a lot of my friends I have had since I was a kid. I have lived in the same town for most of my life and I met my friends in kindergarten or high school. You could also say, yes, a lot of my friends I've had since I was a kid. I am very close to my friends as we grew up together and shared so many experiences. If you have moved away or you move jobs a lot, you could say, not really. I met most of my friends later in life as I travel around a lot and change jobs often. Or you can say, not really. My best friends I met at university. We connected because we had similar interests. My friends from childhood all went to different places after high school and we lost touch. Lost touch means you are not in communication anymore. It's a really good one to use when you're talking about people that you used to have in your life but are not in your life anymore. A similar question to who is your best friend, you might get asked by the examiner, who are you closest to in your family? And you could say, my brother or my sister. We are similar ages and have spent our whole lives together. Sometimes we fight, but most of the time we have each other's back. Having each other's back is an idiom, which means that you look after each other and defend each other. Another thing you could say is, my brother, he is the person I look up to in my family. He is a couple of years older, but he always looks out for me. And again, looks out for is similar to having somebody's back. It just means you look after them and take care of them. You might be closer to someone of an older generation where you can say, yes, I'm closest to my grandmother. My mother works a lot and my grandmother looked after me when I was a child. She used to sing to me and make me traditional foods. Or you can say, my grandmother, sadly she has passed away now. I really miss all the things we used to do together. She was a great woman. And again, here, when they ask you who is the closest in your family, you can't just say my brother or my grandmother. Always add on some extra details. Add 2 or 3 sentences to show that you have some fluency in English. Let me know who is the closest to you in your family in the comments. I'd love to know. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. I have lots of these videos for every single one of the topics that could come up in the IELTS Speaking Task Part 1. You can check out a playlist of them here, or you can watch this video that YouTube has specifically and mysteriously made just for you right here. Or you can press this button here to subscribe to the channel. Good luck and smash those exams.